some early comers, okay? It was not like what we have right now. We have so many people in the temple, sometimes we have to step over our toes or someone else's feet to get to the service, okay? But at that time, Prabhupada was single-handed. People were coming, but people did not know the concept of service, selfless service. They're coming, they're hearing that, but they're not doing, as we used to say, service for this so-called old saint or old, they used to call him at that time Swamiji, okay? This old Swamiji. He was doing everything himself. He was, he was cleaning the temple floor. He was buying the foodstuffs in the vegetable market. He was cooking it. He was preparing it, and then offering it to the people at the feast. And they would come, they would eat the food, and then they would leave. And then what would Prabhupada do? Late at night, he'd take all the plates, wash them, and also wash all the pots and pans, So this is Srila Prabhupada at the advanced age of 70, and he did not ask for anything. He did not ask anyone to help him at that time. But it's only came when he realized that. So he cleaned all the pots after the Sunday program. The next thing that Srila Prabhupada did is he taught us how to stand in line, okay? So one time, I believe it was one of his disciples, he mentioned this, I think it's in the book called The Miracle on 2nd Avenue by Mukunda Goswami. He writes in his book that one time they saw Srila Prabhupada standing in the prasadam line. Okay, so why was Srila Prabhupada standing in the prasadam line? Because as an acharya, he showed us an example. He shows us that, we should stand in line because we are honoring prasadam. Prasadam is none other than different than Lord Krishna. Similarly, like we stand in line to get darshan of a deity, especially if you go to India, some temples you cannot stand, like fortunately in this Radha Kishore Gopinath temple, we don't have to stand in line. But in some temples, the what do you call, the Jagmohan, the entrance to the temple, that's called Jagmohan, that's very narrow, okay? So you stand in line to get the darshan. For example, if you go to Balaji in Pittsburgh, a lot of you have gone to Balaji in Pittsburgh, you have to stand in line to get the darshan of Venkateshwar. So you have to stand in line to see Lord Krishna, and therefore we have to stand in line to get prasadam. Okay? So he showed by example. And of course they said, Prabhupada, please come, and they offered a seat to be prasadam. And the third example of standing in line is when he said, okay, in his early days, the people, he got the hippies, and they were just learning how to, do devotional service, but one thing with the hippies was that they would not take baths very often, okay? Some of us might know the story. So he said, no, to serve Krishna, to make food and prasadam, to come into the kitchen, and to touch things related to Krishna, these books, he must take a bath at least once a day, okay? So these hippies in the early days said, okay, this is something that we have to do. So unknown to Prabhupada, the next morning Prabhupada woke up, he got up and he saw all of a sudden this line to the bathroom, he couldn't see the door to the bathroom. All of a sudden all these hippies were lined up to take a bath. So what did Prabhupada have to do? He had to stand in line. He had to stand in line and then take his bath. So these are the examples. Prabhupada didn't say, no, I am the acharya. You wait, I'll go and take a bath. He stood in line because he wanted to give this opportunity of service to his disciples. So in closing, it goes to show that Srila Prabhupada was very magnanimous. He showed us the path by example. He would show us by example. That's the meaning of a real acharya. As says, Yad Yad Acharya Sat Tat Evataro Sajana Sat Praram Gurute Lokastad Anuvartate in Bhagavad Gita 3.21. It says that whatever examples a great man performs, common people follow, and whatever examples a greater man or a worldly man performs, the whole world pursues. And that is Srila Prabhupada. That is Srila Prabhupada through his own example. Because we're all trying to follow, we're not imitating, we're trying to follow Srila Prabhupada's example of compassion. And without compassion, we cannot advance in devotional service. Because when we try to go to Krishna's home abode, Krishna will, or his gatekeepers will ask us, where on your visa or passport does it say you have the stamp of compassion? And if you don't have the stamp of compassion or the recommendation of another pure Vaishnava like Srila Prabhupada or his disciples, we cannot enter Krishna Dham. Okay, we cannot enter Golok Dham. It's known by so many names, Hari Dham. We cannot enter all these dhams where Lord Krishna resides. I'm sure all of us want to go back to the spiritual world, but we need to have on our passport, we have that stamp of compassion, that stamp of mercy to all other Vaishnavas. So therefore, in summary, this guiding principle of compassion, what we talked about in this class, is something that means that everything is for Lord Krishna and his disciples, and nothing for me. That is the summary of this class. That is everything for them and nothing for me. Just like Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that, he says that, I do not want any recognition, I simply want your cause of service, okay? And simply says that in the last part of the Shiksastakam, he says that unconditionally, I'm always yours, okay? He says that unconditionally, I do not put any terms and conditions. When you come to Krishna, you cannot go to Krishna with a contract saying terms and conditions, notarized by a lawyer. You must go to him completely naked, with your own compassion and mercy. That's how you go to Lord Krishna, completely naked, in terms of your designation. You're not any das, you're not any dasi, you're not any mister, you're not any doctor, you're not any engineer. You simply appear, you go as das, anudas, okay, to Lord Krishna. So that's the quality that takes us to Lord Krishna. And we've heard oftentimes that it says in colloquial terms that love begets love. And similarly, compassion begets compassion, right? Compassion begets compassion. That is, if you give someone compassion, you receive compassion, and your inner compassionate flower, the lotus flower of compassion inside you, grows even more. So, therefore, I humbly request all devotees, as was presented about 3 weeks ago, the temple board and Rupananda Prabhu presented to you this aspect of devotee care on the cycle presentation. And thank you to a lot of you have signed up, but there's still many of you that may be thinking about signing up. Many of you might be in two minds of signing up. What is it in for me? How can I commit to this? It's actually very simple. Just simply submit yourself. Think around you. There's so many opportunities to serve. And as was just said, that this quality of service comes with the essence of compassion, devotee care. So as you try to forge ahead with this new endeavor, this new venture of devotee care, which is the central theme of all the departments, there's so many departments out there that you can volunteer for. You can volunteer for the Sunday Feast department. You can volunteer for helping with cooking in that. Once a month we need help with cleaning the temple. Yesterday there was a cleaning in the temple. We need people to help with festivals. As I just mentioned, this Rath-yatra, the 47th Rath-yatra is coming up. We need a lot of volunteers there to help, make this Rath-yatra grand and successful for 40,000 people. There's a lot of unlimited aspects and facets of activity. But please remember that the greatest thing, of course we do service not for ourselves, but the greatest thing is that we imbibe this aspect of compassion. And that aspect of compassion is what actually brings us eternal peace. We know that, for example, nowadays, recently what has happened in New Zealand and more recently in Sri Lanka, that aspect of compassion is not there. And until we imbibe this aspect of compassion and see everyone as a devotee of the Lord, as did Vasudeva Datta, as did Jesus Christ, as did Srila Prabhupada, we cannot come close to Krishna. And our goal is to go back to Krishna. Jivara Supai Krishna Nitya Das, as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says to Sanatana Goswami. He says that, our eternal dharma, our eternal character is that we are all part and parcel of Krishna. Okay, we're all servants. So sometimes we don't serve. Why are we happy? Because we're not serving. So how can we become happy? We can become happy by serving the devotees of Lord Krishna. So with that, I'd like to give you that thought in mind. And if anyone is inspired to serve and help the devotees of this wonderful temple and of all the other 3 temples of GTA, you can come forward. I can take your name down. Or there's also Rupananda Prabhu. Please raise your hand, Prabhu. And there's also I think there's some other people of the temple management. I don't see them myself, but you can come, or you can give your name at the front desk. Just give your name. I'm sure someone can hook you up to these services. So with that, thank you so much. I'd like to offer on behalf of everyone else our respectful obeisances to all of you and to Srila Prabhupada in this wonderful attempt of devotional care in GTA. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Is there any questions or comments? We have 1 minute. I'll take one quick question. Otherwise, we'll stand up for the Aarti, the Devi Darshan. All right, thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
I'll just ask Jagmeet Shukla was help for just one more item. As I mentioned earlier, our sponsor for today is Venkata Rao, and his daughter's birthday is today. So I'd ask if Jagmeet Shukla would be so kind to offer a gift to the family and the little girl here who celebrated her birthday. And as we just have a couple more minutes before the Devi doors open, I'll just take this chance to make one last plea for next Sunday. Next Sunday, we are celebrating the Rath Yatra, or Festival of India launch date. That's happening next Sunday, April 28th. Our program usually starts at 4:30, but to be very honest, people probably trickle in more closer to 5 o'clock. But we ask for next week specifically to make sure that everyone's blessings and prayers are there for this wonderful festival that happens on July 13th and 14th. Again, I slipped it in. We ask if everyone can join us at 4:45 the latest, so please make sure you're here for that. Again, our huge festival is happening on July 13th and 14th. This is our wonderful Festival of India, and we're not celebrating, as I mentioned before, our first or second or third time celebrating this festival. We're celebrating our 47th annual Festival of India. Yeah. And just